Welcome back to Improvision Entertainment. My name is Hunterman, and this is Euro Truck Simulator 2. Currently, the chat is still voting on what upgrade I'm going to be picking up, but I just picked up a new heavy cargo mission for transporting a service boat? Oh, a service boat, so it's like a cop boat, is what it looks like. Okay, so, let me see what those results are. Nobody was here to vote, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. So, putting this up to the full screen, hitting continue, but also hitting pause, going to my skills so that they will be in the jobs next time. Let's go ahead and max out high value, because we want as much value as we can get. Oops, and I need to be able to see the chat, so I've already kind of messed that up. Doop doop doo. Lando said they'd be back, but they haven't. Maybe they're just having a long shower. I know I like long showers.
Let's go.
Where am I going? This is a special cargo? Why does this service boat require a escort? Oh, wait. Never mind. I didn't realize that whole thing was the boat. I thought only that part on the top was the boat. This is kind of a big thing, actually. Makes sense. Let me see. It is 2 in the morning. So we will be seeing the sun rise as we travel. I believe I am in Great Britain. So I believe I have to travel on the left side of the road. No, wait, no, I'm in Denmark. But I still have the right of way. Okay.
Get ready.
So,
Turn left.
for anybody who is just randomly catching this episode, if you're watching later on YouTube, Improvision Entertainment has a kind of understood 3-year rule when it comes to spoilers about media products, in which we try not to spoil anything that has come out in the last 3 years. Unless we're purposely having a spoiler discussion, in which case we try and preface it, and yada yada, all that stuff. And I bring this up because I'm trying to have myself some topics to talk about while I'm doing these very long and, let's be honest, slow missions doing these special transports. Someone brought up in the previous stream Assassin's Creed and kind of my thoughts on it, and was surprised to find out that I have many thoughts on Assassin's Creed. I have played through and beaten every mainline Assassin's Creed except for the very last one, Ragnarok, which, you know, came out at the end of last year. And are you fucking serious right now? This is the route we're taking this boat? Look what I'm having to deal with. This is hilarious. Not as hilarious as the end of the last mission, which, if you're skipping ahead in the playlist, definitely go back and see how that last one turned out, because what the fuck. Yeah, I'm just gonna take my hand off the accelerator and just gonna coax it out here. Okay. So, here's the world. So, we've been talking about Assassin's Creed, and we're talking about the worst to best overall Assassin's Creed games. And we've gotten up the list, and we are now at Assassin's Creed 1. And one of the things I'm going to take a brief aside to at this moment is that I really want to acknowledge that I think Assassin's Creed 1 has the most likelihood and most to benefit from actually having a do-over. I believe that Assassin's Creed 1 is perfectly situated to have a new game running in either like Odyssey's engine, or I don't know exactly how a Ragnarok's engine works, but running in those games, retelling the events of Assassin's Creed and Altair's Chronicles, and maybe if you want to do flashbacks, there was that iOS/DS game that I didn't get to play yet, but that like has events going on in Altair's life. So you could do all of that. And you could expand on it, and you could do some of the stuff that comes up in later Assassin's Creed games. For example, and this is the part where we get into definite spoilers, okay? In case you were unaware, there was this new type of person that was revealed in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. The only game in the series to have both a number and a subtitle, except for the occasions in which they add a 3 to Liberation for no discernible reason. In any event, so, in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you come across a character named John Roberts. John Roberts is, he's what they call a sage. What that means in the context of Assassin's Creed is that he has a lot more genetic material from the Isu, the ones who came before, than the average person. And very specifically, he's got some of the genetic coding in him from one of the husbands of one of the Isu specifically. The Isu did a lot to try and fight off their mortality. And part of fighting off their mortality was trying to find ways of preventing the upcoming second version of the Armageddon. There's a world-ending event that's going to happen. They mostly prevented it, but ended up getting killed off. They tried to find a way to get through getting killed off. And one of those things that they did was having a giant computer system that would basically put in the algorithms of everything, put in the math, and figure out how the future was going to play out. This is a big sci-fi thing that happens sometimes. Your big computational computer that can accurately predict all the details of the future. It's a thing. And as previously established in this discussion, and has happened at the end of Assassin's Creed 2, again, spoilers for the whole series, there is a situation in which the main character, Ezio Auditore, is Ezio Auditore da Firenze. There's a... Oh no, we're doing a merging problem. Guys, seriously, get out there. Take your DHL truck and get out there. Okay. I'm still playing the game while I'm talking. It's perfect distraction. In any event, one of the holographic images of those who came before talking to Ezio is trying to pass a message on to someone named Desmond. Someone named Desmond is Desmond Miles, the main character from the present day. And Ezio's existence is being a conduit so that at this point in time, as predicted by the big computer algorithm, that he would be able to be a way for Desmond experiencing his memories in the past to have information given to him from those that came before through Ezio Auditore. It's a whole thing. It's all predicted by the giant computer. Reason I bring this up is because one of the other ways that they attempted to fight the future, and they attempted to fight the future a bunch of ways, at least one time implicated that they were trying to do shit with time travel. I'm just putting that out there. That's been said. I don't think any of the games have touched on it, but it's a thing. Anyway, because then things are going to get crazy. In any event, that would be an even better way of doing Assassin's Creed 1 again. Include time travel. Anyhow, okay. So, there's this guy named John Roberts, who's kind of a pirate in Black Flag, and his thing is that he's a sage. So what is a sage? As I kind of went over it, there's this character who is a man who was the husband of one of the Isu who was last trying to figure out how to basically cheat death. And what, I think it was Juno, who set up the genetics for him to be passed down into the servant people, which would be the humans that are living on Earth. It's one of those classic, we were a lower class, we don't know as much as they do, we're not as strong, as big, as powerful, live for as long, we were their servants, the whole deal. And, you know, Adam and Eve were the original escapees, that whole thing. It's a whole Assassin's Creed lore is usually pretty cool, I think. I have enjoyed the series very much previously. Okay, so what happens is when you have enough of this guy's related genetic code passed down that crops up in the human population, you start getting his memories and you start continuing to live in his existence going forward. And this can happen at a very young age, and children can basically come across as seeming super crazy. And it's no good for them, especially because, most of human history, and still a lot today, we don't accurately know what to do with people who have mental conditions and what have you. So, this character, John Roberts, is, in being a sage, he has a connection to all the past versions of himself which has existed, and going forward in the story, he has connections to all of the later iterations of himself as well. This comes up in Black Flag because one of the characters you've met in the present-day storyline of that game, when you were playing as nameless protagonist with a first-person camera, you come across... It's not quite a descendant, but you're coming across a person who is a new incarnation of this character who was in the past of the game that you're playing in, also John Roberts. And so back to talking about me thinking about redoing Assassin's Creed 1, that's one of the cool things that's come up in the series after Assassin's Creed 1 that we did that I don't think is Shark Jump, which would be cool to have, which would be introduce Altair coming across a sage. The thing is, Altair shows up in 4 games? Assassin's Creed 1, Altair's Chronicles, and I don't remember the name of the DS/iOS game. But he also has 3 or 4 playable segments in the course of Assassin's Creed Revelations. I dare say he's the best part of Assassin's Creed Revelations. And at this point in his life, the end of his life, actually, that's hard to see over. The end of his life, Altair has a lot of experience with the precursor tech. He has lived longer than most people do. He has used the Apple of Eden to get insight and try not to let it drive him crazy with power, the whole deal. And part of him being able to pass information to whoever might follow him, in this case Ezio Auditore in Assassin's Creed Revelations, is he's made up these discs using technology he's gleaned from the Apple of Eden that basically allow the person to experience past events like an Animus would in the present day. So in case you missed it, another one of the things that happens in Assassin's Creed Revelations is Desmond Miles in the future, in the present, which is the future, at the time, is playing out the events of the life of Ezio Auditore late in his life, and Ezio Auditore is himself experiencing some of the life of Altair Ambaghdadi, I can't remember his last name, through these discs, which are acting like an animus for Ezio that Desmond is getting to experience through Ezio. Yeah. Deep lore. Okay. Okay, alright. So, having said all that, so you could have those discs show up. Like, Assassin's Creed games make this repeated mistake of introducing something that seems kind of cool and then not doing it again. The Animus glitches that came up in Unity, in which events and situations from later time periods of the same genetic line were bleeding the hell into the lifetime you were experiencing because Abstergo Industries was attacking your connection to their Animus servers when you were diving deep trying to get information. So during the jump between servers, shit gets really weird and really fucking cool. And we basically don't do that again. We kind of do it in Syndicate, which is that one chapter off situation. But otherwise we don't really do it. We got like 100 kilometers left in this trip, which means we got about 62 miles left. In this case, probably more like 66. Are we changing lanes? No, we're not. You're just swerving over. Okay. So. You know what? We can just make this whole thing about my pleading of Ubisoft remake Assassin's Creed 1. Because Assassin's Creed 1 deserves it. It's the only game in the series without trophies or achievements, except for on 360. It has what today would be a paltry amount of content compared to later Assassin's Creed games. And it would be... It's an absolute perfect foundation for making a bigger, thicker Assassin's Creed like the current games are, with the starting plots being the starting point. And then furthermore, now this is going to traipse into the 3-year spoiler territory, so I'm going to be super vague, but during the course of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there is a character who is revealed to to be functionally immortal. Which, with the implication being that they should exist perhaps all the way up into the present day. And it would be interesting to learn, because we have said that Altair has learned a lot of stuff from the Apple of Eden, and that he had a longer life than anybody expected. I'm pretty sure Altair was over 100 years old when he died. I'd have to look it back up again. But, like, all the stuff that leads the possibility of playing as an Altair through his life, who learns not only to be a badass, but to use this precursor technology to glean insight into future tech. I mean, all kinds of cool shit can come from that alone, but the coming across a sage maybe during his life, coming across this character who may be alive from the time of Odyssey on upwards through time, the main character in the present day playing through the events, having to deal with animus corruption and stuff like that, and what cool shit that could do. Like this, put it all in, and make an awesome sci-fi experience. Because what really is pulling me out of Origins and Odyssey is that they really don't care about what's going on in the present day anymore. And the present day is the construct. And I realize maybe now you just want to tell historical stories, Ubisoft. I'm speaking to you at this point. Like, maybe you just want to tell historical stories, but anybody could do that. Why you gotta make it Assassin's Creed? If you're gonna do that, just do something else. If you want a lesson in parallel storytelling, and I've said this before, but not necessarily on stream and not necessarily this year, take a look at the television show Lost. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily like Lost, but I would argue one of the things that it does really well, really well, is telling two parallel storylines. Generally speaking, each episode is comprised of a chain of events that is happening both in the present day of what's happening with the characters and in the past.
Go straight on.
And both of these stories are playing out forwardly through their own time, as you like have commercial breaks and stuff like that. Each one of the two stories is playing forward, but you will discover, perhaps in a way you didn't expect how it was going to play out, that what you're learning about in the past events is actually relevant to a decision or a choice that's being made or has been made by a character in the present. And I think that's a good way to think about how to do an Assassin's Creed if you decide to actually give a shit and invoke the present day. And once again, gonna reiterate, I have not played Ragnarok. So if they 90-degree turn and they've decided to go back to trying to do something with the present day stuff, because I think they were trying to do, my understanding from pre-production stuff is that they might be trying to conclude the story of the woman we've been playing as in the last two games in the present day. who's barely gotten any screen time and whose name I cannot remember. I believe she's Indian American, and I don't mean native. I mean, I think she's... her family is from India and she's American. I think. I don't remember. I don't remember her name right now. Good for having a, you know, a female main character in the present day, but fuck, give her something to do. She kind of got some stuff to do in Odyssey, but in a game that took me 135 hours to platinum, she basically got 3 hours of gameplay time or something? I don't know. Wasn't a lot. Hey look, Sophia got like $2,000.
Keep right.
We're gonna have to slow up in a second, I know we are. Because we're coming to like a port or something. We're almost at our destination though, so there is that. Man, do it all. Do all the cool shit. Blow it out of the park. Just call the game Assassin's Creed. Just call the game Assassin's Creed. And tell the story of Assassin's Creed and everything that went on in Altair's awesome, long-ass life. He is one of the badasses of the timeline of the story. I'm gonna have to really think about how to make this curve. I think I'm about to ding. Honestly, I don't know how I make that curve. Oh, I did. Weird. Okay. Let's zoom in a little bit. Hey, I'm going out to the port. Nice. Just do it all again, guys. I mean, I'm one of the people who knows the story of Assassin's Creed, and I will not be harmed if you just start the game by telling some of that early story again. Hell, do a prologue in which Altair gets access to his abilities that way, and then strip him of it like you did in the first game. Because again, the events of the first game can basically be boiled down to the amount of space it takes to do one of the, like, the opening island start in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Just do that.
To turn left.
Have him get all his abilities back pretty quickly, because when you boil it down to what he was doing, how long it took him,
Turn left.
I think Altair was at work for 4 or 5 months at most, one summer, and that's when he killed all the people in Assassin's Creed 1. Like, he killed them pretty quickly. Not to mention the present-day stuff with Desmond, where... Where am I trying? I'm trying to get to over there.
You're hit.
Oh. Wish you told me I needed to turn. Well, I guess I'm turning here. I'm sure nobody minds. I missed what that said. But hey. Let's double check. That's special delivery of service vote from Odense to Herkshall. Odense to Herkshall. And that's 6 of 11. Not a canoe. 1 second. That's Odense to Herkshall. Okay. And servicey boat. Done. Cool. Alright, so for everybody who is watching later on YouTube, I thank you for watching. This has been Euro Truck Simulator 2, presented by Improvision Entertainment. I've been Hunterman, talking about Assassin's Creed. If you are watching later on YouTube, please consider leaving a comment down below for what you thought about the discussion I was having. What are your thoughts about how you would or would not do Assassin's? Do you think it's worth it to redo Assassin's Creed 1? Do you think that time could be spent doing a different game? Do you like my idea and wish to expand upon it, or go, well, maybe not that, but this, or do you just want to talk about how I definitely, absolutely should play Assassin's Creed Ragnarok? Why haven't I gotten around to it? Because I have played and finished every Assassin's Creed mainline game, and a couple of other ones, and 100% completed like 4. So why haven't I done Ragnarok? But in any event, all that being said, I have been Hunterman, and I will see you in the future. Have a good one.